What's up, peeps? How's everything going? I got a word. Yes, I do. I'm going to start off with 2nd Chronicles 34. And then I'm going to go into 2nd Chronicles 35. And so, right now I'm going to start. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years. He was 138. Right. Anywho. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David after his father, and declined neither to the right hand nor the left. So this boy was 8 years old when he started to reign. He reigned for 138 years. He was king for 130 years. So he lived at least 138, right? For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after God of David, his father. And in the 12th year, he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from high places and groves and carved images and molten images. And they break down the altars of Baalim in his presence, and the images that were on high above them he cut down. And the groves and carved images and molten images he brake in pieces, and made dust of them, and strode it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed unto them. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon the altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. And so he did in the cities of Manasseh, and Ephraim, and Simeon, even unto Naphtali, and their Medic around. And when he had broken down the altars and the groves, and had beaten the graven images into powder, and cut down all the idols throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. So what he did was he went in when he was 16 years old, and he cleaned up the entire, right. He wasn't playing. He said, get this temple together, and he was only 16 years old. He started to rule Josiah started to rule when he was 8 years old. His 8th year of ruling, he was 16. He said, I refuse to have to deal with any of this mess. Y'all tripping, right? So he started seeking God, right, at 16. By 20, he said, we're gonna get this temple repaired. So that's what this is all about. This is about breaking down all of the worldly mess, the idols, the trophies, the cute stuff that represented what people thought religion should, right, they were getting rid of, right. He got rid of at the age of 20. What I said, 16, 17, at the age of 20, right. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. So he cleansed up the Judah and Jerusalem all together. And so he did in the cities of Manasseh, and Ephraim, and Simeon, and Naphtali, and their monarchs around. So he cleaned out a whole area all around Jerusalem to sanctify it for the temple, right? Because they were going to repair the temple. So they were like, why should we repair the temple if everything around the temple was still disgusting? So he cleaned up all the different cities around this temple, right? This boy was not playing. He was only 20 years old, and he came up. He started ruling at 8 years old. At 16, he saw God. At 20, he said, nah, we got to do better, right? This is nasty. This place needs to be clean. What is this, right? This is not the way God created Israel to be. This is not what Israelites are supposed to be around. This place is filthy. It's nasty. It's disgusting. We got idols. We got all kinds of frivolous nonsense around us. And you know that this is an abomination to God. We are around a bunch of abominations. That's what Josiah was saying. We are around a bunch of abominations. Remember what I told you? Some people finish their journey with God and get their assignment early. And he was 20 years old. He was 8 years old. I'm king. Right. 16. Seek God. 20. Do God's work. By the time he was 20, God said, go ahead and get it, boy. Right. And so he did in the cities. Right. He did. He cleaned everything up around him. Now, where are we at? Verse 8. Now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the houses, he was 32. Right. And houses. And he sent Shaphan, the son of Azaliah, and Manasseh, I am reading totally crappy. Now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land, and the house he sent Shaphan, the son of Azaliah, and Messiah, the governor of the city, and Joah, the son of Joaz, the recorder, to repair the house of the Lord his God. And when they came to Hilkiah, the high priest, they delivered the money that was brought into the house of God, which the Levites had kept the doors that gathered of the hand of Manasseh and Ephraim, and of the remnant of Israel, and all Judah and Benjamin, and they returned to Jerusalem. So that part was just saying that he had made up in his mind when he was 32. It's time to get this. Now that all the cities are repaired, now I need to pay to get this temple repaired. All the cities are clean around. Everything is straight. There's no issues around us. There's nothing stopping us from getting this temple built. So now we're going to build the temple. We're going to repair the temple, right? So that's when he started paying people to repair the temple. And this was just saying that these are honorable, trustworthy workers, right? Right, these people held on to this money for years to repair, right? These people were the priests, Israel's priests, but they kept this money all along. They never spent it, so they were honorable, trustworthy people, workers, right? God don't, right, anywho, right? So, when they put it in the hand of the workmen, in the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they gave it to the workers, and the workers did what they were supposed to do, right? They were able to trust them with all of their artifacts and everything. And the men did the work faithfully, right? And they didn't have to be nobody had to watch them but the musicians. Says only the musicians watch the workers work, right? Right, so that when you have honorable, trustworthy people, you don't have to worry about nothing. You don't have to stress about nothing. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, is the work going to get done? Oh my gosh, are they going to steal from me? Oh my gosh, are they going to jit me? Like, just, no. These were honorable people, right? So that was just, you know, a little thing on when you need to have some serious work done, you need to make sure these people are tried, true, and proven, right? You don't just listen to any and everybody and take people's word. You got to see people's work. You got to make sure people are honorable to work with. Otherwise, you end up in a whole mess, right? And this is something that the temple is sacred to God. This kid at 8 years old decided to follow God at 16. He saw God at 16, but he knew what he was supposed to do at 8. He was an Israelite, right? So he already knew, right? But he sought God for himself, right? And said, let's get this temple together, right? And they rebuilt the temple. So, repaired the temple. So now, chapter 35. Moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. And he set the priests in their charges and encouraged them to the service of the house of the Lord, and said unto the Levites that taught all Israel, which were holy unto the Lord, put the holy ark in the house which Solomon the son of David, king of Israel, did build. It shall not be a burden upon your shoulders. Serve now the Lord your God and his people Israel. And prepare yourselves by the houses of your fathers after your courses, according to the writing of David, king of Israel, and according to the writing of Solomon his son. And stand in the holy place according to the division of families of the fathers of your brethren, the people, and after the division of families of the Levites. So kill the Passover and sanctify yourselves, and prepare your brethren that they may do according to the word of the Lord by the hands of Moses. So they were getting ready for the Passover. It's Passover time. The repair of the temple took place, so now it's Passover time, right? They are now in the temple, right? They're in the temple, right? And stand in this holy place according to the divisions of the families of the fathers of your brethren and people, and after the division of the families of the Levites. So kill the Passover and sanctify yourselves, and prepare your brethren, that they may do according to the word of the Lord by the hands of Moses. Verse 7, and Josiah gave the people of the flock, lambs and kids, all of the Passover offerings for all that were present, to the number of 30,000, and 3,000 bullocks that were of the king's substance. And the king gave a lot of offerings, 33,000. 33,000? Wow. 33,000 bulls? Wow. This was a huge Passover, a huge sacrifice, a huge barbecue, right? And his priests gave willingly unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites. Hilkiah and Zechariah and Zael, rulers of the house of God, gave unto the priests for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle, 300 oxen. So they had 300 ox, and then they had 2,600 smaller cattle. So they was having a huge feast, a very huge feast. Conaniah also, and Shemaiah, and Nathanael, his brethren, and Hashabiah, and Jael, Jozabad, chief of the Levites, gave unto the Levites for Passover offerings 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen. So everybody has something to bring to this, right? You don't come to God broke, I'm sorry. No, you don't. Right. God said, what can I do with you when you broke? Right. How can you be an offering to someone when you have nothing to offer? Right. Conaniah. Right. So the service was prepared and the priests stood in their place and the Levites in their courses according to the king's commandment. And they killed the Passover, and the priests sprinkled the blood from their hands, and the Levites flayed them. And they removed the burnt offerings, and that they might give according to the divisions of the families of the people to offer unto the Lord. And it is written in the book of Moses. And so did they with the oxen. Right. And they roasted the Passover with fire according to the ordinance. But the other holy offerings sod they in pots, and in cauldrons, and in pans, and divided them speedily among all the people. So for some they grilled, and for others they grilled, they roasted, and for others they put into pots to boil and to take home and to cook for themselves. Right. Later on. And afterward they made ready for themselves and for priests, because the priests, the sons Aaron, were busy in offering of burnt offerings and the fat unto night. Therefore the Levites prepared for themselves and for the priests, the sons of Aaron. So these people, the Aaron, right? Aaron, who's Aaron? Moses' brother. Aaron was up preparing burnt offerings, him and his sons, or is it saying the sons of Aaron? Okay. The sons of Aaron were up. The sons of Aaron were up offering their burnt offerings all night long. Right. So they were making, in percent, no, that's not what I want to use. They were in prayer for the people. Right. They were in prayer for the people. Right. And the singers and the sons of Asaph were in the place according to the commandment of David and Asaph, and Heman and Jeduthun, the king's seer, and the porters waited at every gate. They might not depart from their service, for the brethren and Levites prepared for them. So everybody was on guard. Everybody was cooking. Everybody's busy. In God's kingdom, all people have a job to do. Nobody's sitting around doing nothing. Everybody has something to do. God is like, if you want to be a priest, I mean, my priests do all kinds of stuff. I mean, they do start off as an apprentice. You're not just a priest off the rip. No, you have to start off as an apprentice. There are people who swear up and down you could just jump somewhere and be called. Right. You have to be an apprentice somewhere. Not somewhere evil, but you have to be an apprentice somewhere. Even people who were slaying Christians, well, slaying Hebrews and Jews, God still used them because they were not evil. The evil people he did. Yes, there were Christian killers, but at the end of the day, they were in a war. They weren't just specifically going after Christians, the ones who God chose. They were killing Christians because it was a war. They weren't prejudiced against these Christians, right? The ones who were prejudiced against the Christians, of course, God took them out. But the ones who were doing their duty as a soldier, or as a general, whatever the case may have been, following orders from the king, to fight against the Hebrews, the Jewish people, then that's why, then God used those people and switched them around. Like, you used to kill Christians, now I need you, right? Because you know the enemy's business too, right? So I need you to go over there and tell the Christians the enemy's business, right? You're now an asset, not a liability, right? So as long as you weren't one of those who had laws sitting in your heart, you hated Christians. If you hated a Christian, he couldn't use you. But if you were just doing your duty as a soldier and fighting in a war, then he used you, right? You had no ill will against Christians. You were just doing what you had to do because the king said so. You were part of what? The military, right? Otherwise, you would have been what? Militia to who? The king, right? If you were a citizen of that country, then you fight for that country regardless. So God said, no, you don't have to fight for this country. I will show you a better way because these are my sacred people. These are the people who I have set aside to help you in case of emergency. So with that being stated, help my Christians, help my Jews, and I will protect you from anything that tries to come against you as a ex-Christian killer. Right. Where am I at? 16. So all the service of the Lord was prepared the same day to keep the Passover and to offer burnt offerings upon the altar of the Lord according to the commandment of King Josiah. And the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at the time and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. And there was no Passover like that kept in Israel from days of Samuel the prophet. Neither did all the kings of Israel keep such a Passover as Josiah kept. When the priests and the Levites and all Judah and Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Verse 19, in the 18th year, the reign of Josiah, was a Passover kept. So the temple was repaired, and it was a huge, huge feast. There's never was a feast like that ever again. There was never a feast so huge. So God said, when you look at things and you swear up and down that now is the best time, God said, half of y'all starving. How can you think 2021 is the best year when these people was eating real good, right? And before Christ, right? I don't know what year this is, but people was eating real good. You starving right now, but you got technology, but you starving. You got cars, but you starving. You got cell phones, but you starving. You got video games, but you starving. But these people was eating and playing instruments and eating well and working. And eating well and cultivating the land and working and praising God and eating well, while you sitting there playing your video games, starving. While you sitting there on your cell phone, starving. While you sitting there on YouTube playing with me, starving. While you playing with grown folks, period. You sitting around starving. These people was eating good. So watch what you call a third world country. Watch what you call less fortunate, because they're eating well, but they don't have electronics. You got all kinds of $9, $10, $100 phones. Right, you got $900, $1,000 telephones, but ain't nothing in your belly. I hear your belly growling, but you bragging about all the stuff you got. But your belly growling. Their belly is full, and they ain't got nothing. Right, no technology. You know what they got? God, right? And that's all I notice, right? And let's not be foolish saying, oh, that's all I need. Nah, God ain't all you need. God said, I don't know why people say that nonsense. No, I'm your head, and I'm your tail. But I gave your head enough sense to get up off your tail and go to work and make some money to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, to take care of yourself. And if you bring a wife and children into that situation, that's what you got money for too. That's what I gave you, the head and that tail to get up off of. Right. If you're a woman and you got a husband and he ain't doing nothing, that's your fault. That's your fault. Get rid of your husband. God does give divorces. Your husband cheats on you, that's an automatic divorce right there. You and your husband are no longer married according to God the minute he sleeps with another person or you sleep with another person. Exactly. Right. Infidelity is a spiritual divorce. Right. So with that being stated, God believes in divorce. You got a sorry man at the crib and he refused to change, and you're not a sorry woman, then why are you allowing this man to make you sorry? That's what you're going to be ultimately. You're going to be sorry just like him. Because you're going to be about 50, 60 and tired as I don't know what. Right? So you end up being sorry for your grandchildren. You ain't got no energy for your grands or your great-grands. Because you letting this man sit up at the crib and do nothing while you running around busting your tail. Or you got a chick at the crib, you busting your tail, but you coming home and ain't nothing cooked. House ain't cleaned or nothing. She doing this. Oh, hey, babe. You brought something to eat? And y'all said I do? I would never say I do to a chick who doing that when I get home. If I'm a man and I walk through the door, my wife's sitting there doing this, I better be smelling something. Everything better be straight, right? I'm a female. I like to eat. If my husband get home before me and he love to cook, I be damn, he been sitting at home for 3 hours and then I come home from work and ain't nothing cooked. Right. Right. Now, I'm a woman. I believe in cooking all the meals. But if I'm married to a man who love to cook, then I know damn well he gonna cook at some point. He ain't gonna have me cooking all the meals, and he love to cook. Thank you. Right, know your partner too, by the way. Know your partner. All these people sitting around with these partners that ain't worth shit, that's your own fault. Be mad at yourself. Do not try and take down a beautiful husband and wife because you chose a shitty partner. Get rid of them. Have a great one. Oh, wait. Temple whore is out. God said that's the subject of this. The temple whore is out. Right. The work has been done. The temple has been put together. Right now, the work is done. The temple's been put together, but it's so many temple whores running around right now. There's so many temple whores running around right now. It's a bunch of females and males running around, prostituting the word, trying to snatch people who know the word out the word, jumping in the way of true prophets and prophetesses, right? Shaking ass and tail, claiming they prophets and prophetesses, right? No, the temple whore is out, right? If you have to be seen and you ain't been in the word but less than a year, but you got to be seen, you're a temple whore. If you haven't been in God 5 years solid, you're a temple whore running around right now, being in people's face and in people's way. If you're preaching the word and haven't been in God at least 5 years solid, you are a temple whore. Right, just so you know. And I ain't pointing nobody out. I'm just letting you know. If you haven't been in God solid for the last 5 years, and you running around preaching and teaching and jumping in the way of real prophets and prophetesses, you are a temple whore. And I'll leave it at that. And I don't care if you've been a pastor 75 years either. Right? If you are a false prophet and you jumping in a real prophet or prophetess's way, you are a temple whore as well. Right? There are a lot of old preachers, teachers, pastors, and evangelists jumping in the chosen's way, jumping in the true called's way right now, trying to make the chosen and the true called look like they the liars and the false prophets. But your heart tells you who's real. Your gut tells you who's real. You can look at me and tell I'm real. You can look at them other chicks and say, get the... Right. So, you can tell who's real and who's fake. Even if you've been going to their church 10, 15 years. I don't care if they do have mega churches. You know damn well a lot of them pastors in the mega churches ain't nothing. Right? They crap. They're motivational speakers. They're not pastors. A lot of them are motivational speakers. They stopped being pastors once they got that big church. A lot of them stopped being pastors once they got that big church. Right? So, they was cool when they had a little storefront, but once they got the mega, that head got bigger. Right. So, with that being said, God been through a lot of the mega church people to the wayside because, number one, you don't have a one-on-one relationship with your congregation. Not at all. And God said, you're supposed to be personal with your people. Right. He said in the days of Moses and in the days of Jesus, yes, that mega church was beautiful. But look at it now. Look at what the mega church has become. I need an airplane. I need a helicopter. I need a Rolls Royce. I need a Bentley. I need money. Now, your people need to be saved. Your people needed the real word. Your people needed to understand that Revelations was more important than any other book. Matthew and Genesis are the most important books in that Bible, and none of you pastors were teaching them. Matthews and Revelations, right, were the most important, right, because God said everybody know that Genesis, right, the first 7 days, everybody know that first page. God said, nah, y'all needed to know Matthews and y'all needed to know Revelations, and everybody should have been versed on that, and they were not. So God said, I don't want to hear nothing. That's why I'm tearing down all your temples. That's why I'm tearing down all these mega churches. That's why I'm tearing down these storefront churches. That's why I'm taking away 503Cs, whatever they are. He said, because a lot of it is a bunch of garbage. He said, all of these tax breaks that people are getting, period, not just the church. He said, it's garbage. You're getting tax breaks because you're greedy and you're sorry and you're disgusting in his eyes. God said, all these little offerings and charities you have, he said, take them and tampon them. Because they weren't for the people. They were for your greedy ass self and your tax break. And he don't care nothing about you. Have a beautiful, wonderful day. It's grilling time. Hold up now. Is that Grandpa Chad in there? Or is that my house? That might be Raphael family. Oh, you should hear Raphael family. They be getting down like